Right, so question 1. How much will I have if I invest £3,600 for 7 years at a rate of compound interest of 2.37% for the first 4 years and then 3.41% for the rest? Okay, you should remember that it is the quantity that goes in to begin with. You multiply it by the multiplier. Well, if I'm using a rate of interest of 2.37%, the multiplier, remember, is 100% that you start with, plus, because you're increasing by 2.37, gives you 102.37%, and the multiplier is the equivalent of that in a decimal format. In other words, divide by 100. So it gives you 1.0237, and remember, you raise it to the power of how many years you're investing it for. Now, I'm investing it for first 4 years. That is the quantity I'll have after 4 years. That is the quantity that begins the 5th year. So you times it by a new interest rate, and the same process again will give you 1.0341 as the new multiplier. Remember, the same process I've just done here, or a similar process. And this time the remainder, first 4 years, 7 years in total, means you've got 3 years at that rate. These brackets aren't actually doing anything. So actually, you just type that into the calculator as you see it, and that will give the answer. Now, my calculators are slowly coming up, and there it is. I've got 3,600 was the original investment, times by the first 4 years, 1.0237 raised to the power, so it's that button, to the power of 4, come out, and then you got times by the new multiplier, 1.0341 raised to the power of 3, which is that one there. Press equals, and the amount of money I'll have is £4,372, and to the nearest penny will be 1 pence. Okay, and that's the answer. So that's how much I'll have. If you want the interest I'll have, you have to take it away from the original, and I'll have something like, what's that, £772 and a penny. But you weren't asked that. It says how much will I have. How many people got it right? Okay, well done. That's what you need to be at that level minimum. Question 2. Right, this time we don't know the rate of interest. Okay, it says if I invest 2,500 for 6 years at a rate of 8%. Now that's the percentage rate. So I'm going to use a different letter. I'm going to use the letter, I don't know, P, to represent the actual multiplier. Multiplier. Okay, the multiplier. So I end up with £2,500 multiplied by the multiplier raised to the power of 6 years will give me an answer of £3,163.30. And all you got to do there is divide through by this to give you P to the power of 6 is £3,163.30 divided by what I originally started with, 2,500. And to undo this, what do you have to do? The 6th root, not the square root, that's the 6th root. So P is a tick with a 6 at the front of it for the 6th root of the answer. It's 3163.30 divided by 2500. Okay, and where you find that on your calculator is this, the 6th root. It is, if I look closely, there it is. See it? Just there in orange or red, whatever colour that is. Shift that. You choose the type of root you want to go there, which is 6. You choose the number to go there, which is a fraction, and it is 3163.30 divided by 2,500, and you just work it out. And it gives us P is equal to 1.0, and it is 4 with loads of zeros. So I'm going to say 4. That's the multiplier. To undo the multiplier to give you the actual rate you're growing with, I need to times that by 100, or you can just spot it. I need to do 1.04 times by 100 gives you 104%, and therefore 104 take away 100 gives you what you can see. But you can observe that anyway. You could have just written that. A is 4%. Who did get that right? Well done. Okay, well done. That's a good question. That's what that I believe is something that has never really been seen before, has never really been used, and I can see them utilising that. Question 3. Show that straight line graph and that other straight line graph are perpendicular to each other. What is the rule that you need to remember here to prove that two things are perpendicular? Tom? That's exactly it. M1 multiplied by M2 is equal to -1. That represents the gradient of first line. That represents gradient of second line. Times the gradients together, you should get -1. Well, we have to rearrange this first graph to get it in the format of y equals mx plus c. Only then can you actually state the gradient. So the first thing I need to do is realise that the y's are positive there, so they're going to stay there. And that means I can't have that there, and throw it over to the other side, it changes the sign. So straight away I get 2y equals 7x plus 8, and then I'm going to divide through by 2 to give you y equals 7 divided by 2x plus 8 divided by 2 is 4. The only thing I need to worry about there is quite clearly the gradient, okay, which is the how many x's you've got. So I'm going to call M1 is 7 over 2. You can use a decimal, I don't mind, but I'm just going to leave it as a fraction. Then I'm going to rearrange this graph here, okay, and I'm going to do it here, okay. So all I've got to do is divide by 7. So y is equal to 4 over 7 minus 2 over 7x. And quite clearly, the gradient is the number of x's you've got, okay, including its sign. So M2 is equal to minus 2 over 7. And therefore, we know that 7 over 2 multiplied by minus 2 over 7 gives you, well, a positive times a negative gives you a negative, and you can cross cancel here. 2 goes into there once, 7 goes into there once, 1 over 1 gives you 1. Therefore, perpendicular. Any people got that and remembered that? Well done. Okay, question 3. Question 3, so there's a whole array of questions. This one's to do with area. There are a couple of ways. Ugni came up the other way, which is fine. You can work out the percentage. What did you do? Percentage of the whole thing of, what did you do? I can't remember. Yeah, it takes away from 100. Yeah, that's fine. What I'm going to do, though, is work out the area of the big rectangle. So there's not just one way of doing it, and it is 16 times by 24. Okay, so that's going to give you 20 times that is 320, and 4 times that is 64. Add together, am I right in saying 384? And it is meters squared. Okay, the area of the semicircle, so area of, I don't know, S. Right, so I've got a full circle. Now the radius is that distance there, which is 8. It is pi times radius squared, and it's only half a circle, so I'm going to divide it by 2. I'm going to leave that as an exact answer, i.e. in terms of pi. You only ever round the final answer up. So that gives you 64 divided by 2 is 32 pi, and that's meters squared. And all I've got to do is find the whole thing, take away that. Okay, so I'm going to do 384, take away 32 pi. That will tell me the area of the shaded bit. Do you agree? I need to divide it by what to set my fraction up to get my percentage? Of the whole rectangle, I need to divide it by 384. So that's the fraction that's shaded over the whole thing. And to convert a fraction to a percentage, you just times by 100. And that will give us the answer. Okay, so fraction, I've got, where is it? 384. It is minus 32 pi, shift pi, go down, 384, come out and times by 100. Okay, and I end up with 73.8%. 73.8% is what the percent of the shaded bit is. Your hands, have you got that right? Okay, well done. And that brings us on to the a bit of algebra now. Okay, so a bit of algebra. And you've seen this a long time ago. It does feel like a long time ago anyway. I think, you know, It was in year 10, wasn't it? It's got to be. It wasn't this year. Anyway, you're told it's a rectangle. You're told that if the area is 184 meters squared, it says find the value of x. Well, to find the value of x on the interception equation. And obviously, if they've given me area, it's to do with its area. How do you find the area of a rectangle? It is length times width. So I'm just going to times these together. So instead of writing 2x plus 3 times by x minus 2, we don't have this times here. We just button together, and that means times. Okay, that's what we're after. That means that times that is equal to 184. That's your start point. That's where the equation comes from. Expand this out very quickly. Gives you 2x squared minus 4x plus 3x minus 6 is equal to 184. Everything's going to go onto the left-hand side. Everything's going to go onto the left-hand side because I've got positive x squareds here on the left-hand side. So bring this over to make a minus. So I end up with 2x squared minus 4... let's get this right. Minus 4x plus 3x gives you minus x. And that comes over to make a minus 190. And it equals 0. Okay? Now, you can use a quadratic formula. You can use whatever you want. You can even use... What can you use now? Iteration if you wanted to. Okay? I'm just going to go and use a quadratic formula. I can't bother to hang around, I think. No, it should go to whole numbers, shouldn't it? So, what is it? It's 1910. No, it is 20 times 20. No, it's not going to be 20. I can't bother. Here we go. So I'm going to use quadratic formula. Solutions for x are equal to minus b. That's minus 1, so it makes positive 1. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. Minus 1 squared is 1. Take away brackets 4 lots of a, lots of c. C is a minus 190. Okay? Over 2 lots of a is 4. So all I've got to do is work that out. Okay, I get two answers. One that's impossible, and the other one's going to be the one I need. Let's have a look. See what I mean. We've got 1. We've got plus the square root of 1 minus open brackets 8 times by brackets minus 190. Close brackets. Come out, go down, and 4. And I get my first answer as x is 10. And my other answer, if I replay it, bang, 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 and delete and subtract, I get x is minus 9.5. Why is this one impossible? Because you can't have a negative length. If you put that back into there, for instance, you'll have minus 11.5 as a length. It's impossible. So, you need to signify to the examiner that that is impossible. Impossible. And that's the answer for x. That's part A. Done for your hands, people. Got that right? Well done. Well remembered. Right, we're on to B now. Perimeter. Well, that's easy. If x is 10, it means that this length here is 8. Okay? And it means that this length here is 23. All you got to do is 23 plus 8 plus 23 plus 8. Or 23 plus 8 doubled. So 23 plus 8, get the answer, and times it by 2. That will give you... 31 times by 2 is 62 meters. And that was the final question. Okay? Everyone happy with that? Good.